So welcome to our next video, which is part of the Python basic. Hello friends, welcome to the another video of the same sequence, Python for beginners. So this lab is lab number 5, and what I have planned, I have divided this lab in two different videos. One is specifically dedicated to list with loops and conditional statement, and one is dictionary with loops and conditional statement, because list and dictionaries are two very different topics, and in this lab they are together, but in the video we have done it separately. So let's start with the understanding of what is list and how we use it, how we used it in Python. So list is basically a collection of variables with same or that could be different data types. So let's take an example. You have a lot of data in your mind right now. It's a integer, it's a decimal, it's a character, it's a string, or it could be anything. Okay, it could be a combination of special characters as well. But instead of defining multiple variables, like if I have to store a number, so I will use a separate variable a. Then if I have to store another number, I will use b. Then third number c, and then so on. So if I have 50 numbers, so instead of using 50 variables, I can use a single variable and I can save multiple things inside that variable using the list. Okay, so list is very simple. I will again define its definition. So list is basically a collection of variables with same or different data types. So how to use list is very simple. So first you can see the lab manual over here. So this is basically lists are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Lists a list are created using square brackets. So these two things you have to highlight before starting a list. So this is an example. We will not do the same example. We will do a separate example. So let's start with this Python 3, and we will write this lab name as lab 5 part A, or you can say lab 5 lists. Okay, so let's make a list. So just taking an example that we will make a list of a student from a specific grade. So let's take an example. My class is class 5A, and in class 5A there are 5 students. Okay, so I will just make a list of 5 students. So the first student name is, let's take an example, Ali. The second name is you can say Walid. The third name is, you can say, Akil. The fourth name is you can say Shams. And the sixth name is, you can say, XYZ Shaham. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 people in our list. Now see, instead of declaring every people or every student name differently, I have made a list, and the name of the list is class 5A. And using the square brackets, I have defined 5 names inside it. It can be a number as well. So after Shaham, we can add a number 1. So see, Ali has a data type of string, Walid has a data type of string, Akil has a data type of string, Shams has a data type of string, even Sham has a data type of string, but 1 is basically integer number. So as I mentioned earlier, list can be a combination of different data types. So it's completely fine. Now, after declaring the list, now the very first question arises you, how to access a list. Now, let's take an example. If I want to take Akil out from the list, so how should I access Akil? So the thing is very simple. You have to write print, and then print, you have to write the name of the list, class 5A, and then inside the square brackets, after class 5A, you have to write the square brackets. Inside square brackets, you have to write the index number. Now, what is the index number? So in list, every data has a specific index number. So starting with Ali, Ali has an index number of 0, which means if I want to access Ali, so I will write 0. If I want to access Walid, I will write 1. But what if I want to access Akil? So Akil is 2. So I will write 2 over here. And then when I will print this thing, I will run this code. So see, you can see that from a list of 5 people or 6 people, Akil is now out from the list. So that's how you can access a specific variable from a list or a specific data from a list. Now let's take an example. Instead of Akil, now I have to access the last number of the list, and I don't know the length of the list. Let's take an example. I don't know the length of the list. I cannot see it right now. So there is one more thing. You can write -1. So -1, which means from last, the first one. So if you will run this code, so see, automatically it actually gives you 1, because 1 is from the last to the first one. So -1 means it's the reverse. And what if I want to access a data within a range? So I want to access Ali, Walid, and Akil only, not Shams, Shaham, and one number. So what you can write is, if you want to access first three numbers, so you can write semicolon, like colon, and then you can write 3. Then if you will run, so see, Ali, Walid, and Akil. Why I have written 3. So 3 means 0, 1, 2, not Shams. Okay. And if you want to access the last 3, definitely you will write 3 at the first section before semicolon 3, and then you can write like this. So it will give you the last 3, which is Shams, Shaham, and 1. Now let's take an example. If you want to access only Akil and Shams, not the whole list, only 2 members from the list which are in between, not at the start or not at the end, which are in between. So you can even define a range. How to define a range? You have to first decide the index number of Akil. So the index number of Akil is 0, 1, 2. So you will start from 2, and the index number of Shams would be 3, of course, but we already mentioned earlier that the range will start from a number, and the number is implicitly part of the code, but another number, which is the end of the list, is not part of the number. So if I write 2 and 3, so you will see that only Akil is printing. Why? Because Shams is not part of the list right now, because it will start from 2. It should end till 3, but as we mentioned earlier, that in the range section, last number is not considered. So if I want to make sure that Shams should also be the part of the list or the part of the extraction, so I have to write 4. So 4 means Akil and Shams are now part of my list, which means 2 and 3 are my part of my list, not 4, because range always runs not till the last number, till a nth minus 1 number. That is how you basically use a concept of list. Now same thing you can apply for 50 different data types, 500 different data types, or more than that. So what is actually happening? You are reducing your code. So like, instead of writing 50 lines of code using list, you have made it to 20 lines of code, or might be less than that. Now the last thing and the very important thing is, if you want to find the length of the list, that how many elements are there in the list. So you will write print, and then you will write len. Len is a function, inbuilt function in Python, and inside len parentheses, you have to write the list name, class 5a. So see, the last answer is 6. What does 6 means? That there are 6 elements in the list, not index number. If I talk about index number, so the answer should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means index number is 5, but the element's length is basically 6. So there are 6 elements in the list, but the index number maximum is 5. So that's how you can do it. One last thing which you can do with list is very interesting, that you can print all the elements of the list turn by turn using a for loop. So how you can implement a for loop with list as well, because we mentioned earlier that we can use for loops with the list as well. So this would be something very new to you. So it's very interesting if you are habitual of using list a lot. So you can write, I am writing it on a different cell, it's completely fine. So I will write for I in. Now instead of range, because till lab number 4 we were doing the same thing, we were using for I in range, but in list you have to write the name of the list. So in my case, the name of the list is class 5a. So I will write for I in class 5a. It will automatically find its length, and it will automatically iterate 6 times. Why? Because there are total 6 elements. So iteration would be, if you talk from the index number, so it will start from 0 and it will end till 5. If we'll talk in terms of the strength or the length of the element, so it will run 6 times. Then you can write print I. Now you can see one thing, that all the elements from the list are now independent. They are taken out from the list. Ali is out, Walid is out, Aqil is out, Shams is out, Shaham is out, and the last number 1 is also out from the list. So this is how you can use list with loops as well. If you want to find a number, so you can use like this as well. You can write instead of print, you can write if I is equals to Ali. So you can write, because the letter should be same, you can write print Ali is here, or you can say after this you can write else Ali is not here, or you can just write print I. So you will notice one thing, that the first message is changed. Why? Because the first condition is now fulfilled, because there is Ali in the first iteration. So it printed Ali is here, but in the second iteration, Ali was not there. In the second iteration, Walid was there. So instead of going to if, it went to else, and in the else it was like print I. So you have to print I. You can change the message accordingly. Now, the very last and the very important thing in list, which everyone should know, whoever is, implementing list with Python, the important thing is how to add anything in a list and how to remove anything from a list. So let's take an example. We have a list known as class 5A, I guess. Okay, and there were how many people? Ali, Walid, Aqil, Shams, Shaham, and 1. Now, all of a sudden, there is a new member. His name is Zain, and he is saying that I wanted to be the part of the list, but I'm not part of the list, which means you have a new entry. So you have two options. Either you make a new list from scratch, or you can add Zain in between or at the last of the list as well. How to add it? You will write class 5A dot append. Append is a function specifically used to add anything. So class 5A dot append, and inside append you can write the name of your variable or the name you want to move. So Zen. Now, if I run this list, after this I will write class 5A, I will print. So it's always a good practice that whenever you want to print a message, you should write print. Now you can see there is one more person in the list, and the person name is Zen, because Zen was initially not part of the list, but now he is part of the list. Now let's take an example. If somebody asks you, I don't want to be part of the list at the end, but I want to be in between. Like if somebody wants to be at the location of Aqil, so the Aqil location is 0, 1, 2. So if somebody wants that I want to be in the location of Aqil, and then you can reset all the locations. So you can also do that. You can write class 5A dot, you can write insert. Insert is a function to add any variable in between the list. Insert, and then you can write the location number, that is 2, comma, the data you want to move. So let's take an example. The data is Rizwan. So now the Rizwan will come towards the location of Aqil, and Aqil will move forward. So let's see the magic. Now I will print class 5A. So now you can see Ali is over there, Walid is over there, but instead of Aqil, now we have one more person who is part of the list. He is Rizwan. And then we have Aqil, Shams, Sham, 1, and then Zain. Now see, one thing happened. Now everyone's location now is changed. Initially, Aqil was at location 2, but now he's at location 3. Shams was at location 4, now he's at 5. So see, when you add something in between, so it affects all the location of other variables. Now, we have added 2 people in the list. Now we want to remove it. Like Rizwan is not part of our class, and Zain is not part of our class. So the same manner we have added, the same manner we will remove them. The easiest way to remove is class 5A, the name of your list, dot remove. but inside remove, you have to write the name of the variable or the data which is present inside the list. The spelling should be correct. So let's take an example. I want to remove Rizwan in the list. So I will write Rizwan. Okay. Now, if I run this code, so there will be no output, but you will see that the Rizwan is removed from the code. But if I will run this code twice, so it will give me an error. Why? Because initially, the first time there was Rizwan in the code, but the second time there was no Rizwan. So it will give you an error that Rizwan is not part of the code anymore, or might be you have done something wrong with the syntax or something like that. So I will write over here last print class 5a. Okay. Now you can see one thing. Now Rizwan is not part of the list. Now if I run this code again, so it will give me an error. Why? Because it's saying that Rizwan is now not part of the list because it is already removed from the list. Now let's take an example. If you want to remove a person from a list from a specific location, from a specific index, not by, if you don't know the spelling of Rizwan, but you know the index number of Rizwan. So you can do it like that as well. How? You can write class, the name of the list. So see, name of the list is very important for you. Class 5a dot pop. So pop is a function that actually pop up the things or pop up the data from the list. So let's take an example. Now Rizwan is not part of list. So we have Ali, Walid, Akil, Shams, Rahman, 1 and Zain. Now we think 1 is not an appropriate thing in this list because class 5 is a group of people, not a group of number or something related to numbers. So let's see the location of 1. So if Ali's location is 0, 1, this 1 is not part of the code. So 2, 3, 4, and what is the location? 5. So you will write just 5. And then when you will run print class 5a, so you will see that 1 is now removed from the list. Now you have to highlight one thing. Once I removed Rizwan, once again when I re-uploaded or when I rerun the code, so it gave me an error. What if I rerun the pop function? It will not give me an error. What it will do, he will find the location or the data at 5th position. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which means next time if I run this code again mistakenly or all of a sudden, if I run this code, then Zen will be removed from the list. So it will not give you an error until and unless the list don't have the specific number, which means after Zen, it will give you an error because there is no maximum number after 4 over there in the list. But if I rerun this code, so you will see a magic that now instead of 1, now Zen is in the location of 1. So Zen will be removed. So let's run it and see. Now Zen is not part of the less because the pop function is actually working very fine. But if you run it again, so it will give you an error. Why? Because now it's saying that the index is out of range, which is an index error. So later on in the advanced course, I will teach you one thing more, that is how to handle errors. In that thing, we will, highlight all the different kinds of error that I mentioned. So index error, value error, and every kind of error. So that is basically a short summary of how to use a list. There are a lot of functions in list as well. You can refer to the website. I will also mention it in the comment section, which is W3 Schools. So you can go there and you can see a lot of functions are available with the list. We have just used, 3 to 4 functions, that is insert, pop, and something like that. But you have a lot of functions. So we are just following the same menu. So in the menu, there were some functions like this, and we have just used the same function. So good luck. You can practice it. You can see the questions as well. And I will show you the questions after the next video.